Introduction to Polars. Polars is a fast data frame library written in Rust, with a Python API. It is used for data analysis, manipulation, and processing of tabular data. It is designed to be much faster and more efficient than pandas, especially on large datasets. Real-world uses include data cleaning, feature engineering, data exploration, and ETL tasks. Many companies use Polars for speed when working with millions of rows. In this lesson, we will learn Polars basics step by step. Running the cell now. This line imports the warnings library and disables warning messages. This imports the system library. We will use it later. You may need to install Polars using pip on your system. On Windows in Anaconda prompt or command line. Pip install Polars. This imports Polars as PL. Running the cell now. This initial code sets up the environment by importing Polars, a powerful and efficient data frame library designed for fast data processing. There is no visible output because this step focuses solely on preparation, ensuring Polars is ready to use for data manipulation in the upcoming lessons. This foundational setup enables efficient handling of large datasets in subsequent examples. Core concepts in Polars. The main data structures are series and data frame. Series is a single column of data, similar to a Python list. Data frame is a table of data with rows and columns. Operations can be lazy or eager for better performance. Polars works quickly even on very large files. Running the cell now. This creates a simple series. This line creates a series of numbers named numbers. This prints the series. Running the cell now. This output shows a series named numbers with 5 integer elements. Notice the shape, 5, indicating it has 5 rows and a single column, reflecting Polars' concept of a series as a single column data structure. This confirms how series can be used to hold and display simple, one-dimensional data efficiently. This creates a data frame from a dictionary. This line creates a data frame with names and ages. This prints the data frame. Running the cell now. This output shows a Polars data frame with 3 rows and 2 columns, name and age, matching the input dictionary. Notice the table format clearly lists each person's name alongside their age, illustrating how a data frame organizes data in a tabular structure. This confirms that Polars can efficiently create data frames from Python dictionaries, combining multiple series, columns, into a single table. This displays basic information about the data frame. This prints the shape, rows, columns out of the data frame. This prints the column names of the data frame. Running the cell now. Here, the output shows the shape and columns of the data frame DF. The shape, 3, 2, indicates it has 3 rows and 2 columns, while the list, name, age, confirms the column names. This reinforces how data frames organize data in labeled rows and columns, a core concept to understand before applying operations in Polars. This shows how to select a single column. This prints the aged column. Running the cell now. Here, we've selected the age column from the data frame, resulting in a series with 3 integer values. Notice the output shape, 3, indicating a single column structure with 3 elements, which reinforces how a series represents one column of data within Polars. This simple extraction highlights the core concept of series as a building block for manipulating individual columns efficiently. This shows how to add a new column. This adds 10 to each age and stores it in a new column called age_plus_10. This prints the updated data frame. Running the cell now. Here, adding a new column called age_plus_10 creates a data frame with 3 columns and 3 rows, as shown by the shape. Notice how the original age values increase by 10 in the new column, demonstrating how Polars makes it easy to perform element-wise arithmetic on series within a data frame. This highlights the intuitive and efficient columnar operations fundamental to working with Polar's data structures. Beginner example, filtering rows. We will select rows where age is greater than 30. Running the cell now. This filters rows where age is greater than 30. This line creates a new data frame with only those rows. This prints the filtered data frame. Running the cell now. Here, the filtered output shows only the rows where the age column is greater than 30, resulting in 2 rows out of the original data. Notice how the age values are 32 and 37, confirming the filter worked as intended, while the other columns remain unchanged. This demonstrates how filtering narrows down the dataset based on a condition, which is essential for focused data analysis. This selects multiple columns from the data frame. This creates a new data frame with the selected columns. This prints the selected columns. Running the cell now. Here we printed a subset of the original data by selecting only the name and aged columns, showing 3 rows and 2 columns. Notice that this step isolates the relevant information before we apply filtering by age, helping us focus on key data for the next lesson step. This selection prepares us to filter rows where age is greater than 30 in a clear and manageable way. This shows how to calculate the mean of the aged column. This gets the mean age value. This prints the mean age. Running the cell now. Here, the code calculates and prints the average age of all entries in the dataset, which is about 31.3 years. This provides a useful reference point before filtering to select only those rows where age is greater than 30, helping us understand the data's age distribution relative to our filter condition. Intermediate example, reading CSV data. Let us create and read a CSV file using polars. Running the cell now. This writes a simple CSV file to disk. This is the data string we will write. This opens the file called scores.csv for writing. This writes data to the file. Running the cell now. Here, we've created and saved a simple CSV file named scores.csv containing names and scores. Although this step produces no direct output, it sets up the data source for the next lesson part where we will read and manipulate this data using polars. Notice the clear structure with 2 columns that we will load into a data frame. This shows how to read a CSV file with polars. This reads the CSV file into a data frame. This prints the loaded data frame. Running the cell now. Here, polars successfully reads the CSV file into a data frame with 3 rows and 2 columns, as shown by the shape 3, 2. Notice the columns name and score along with their data types, string and integer, demonstrating how polars automatically infers schema when loading data. This confirms the intent of reading and inspecting raw CSV data for further analysis. This sorts the data frame by the score column in descending order. This sorts the data frame. This prints the sorted data frame. Running the cell now. Here, the output shows the data frame sorted by the scores column in descending order, confirming that Carla has the highest score of 95. Notice the shape remains 3, 2, meaning all rows and columns are preserved, and only the order has changed. This step demonstrates how to manipulate and order data after reading a CSV, a key part of data wrangling with polars. This demonstrates Group B, how many students got each score. This groups the data frame by eScore and counts entries. This prints the grouped data frame. Running the cell now. This output shows the number of students who achieved each distinct score in the dataset, with 3 unique scores and 1 student per score. Notice the table shape, 3 rows, 2 columns, and the count column, which confirms the grouping worked as intended. This demonstrates how polars efficiently aggregates data by a specific column after reading CSV input. Intermediate example, lazy evaluation. Polar supports lazy queries that are more efficient for big data. Let us see how to use lazy mode. Running the cell now. This creates a lazy data frame. This line makes the data frame lazy, operations are not executed yet. This filters for score greater than 85, selects the names, and collects the result. This prints the result. Running the cell now. This output shows the result of filtering a lazy data frame to include only rows where the score is greater than 85, then selecting just the name column. Notice the shape 2, 1 highlights that two names meet this condition, confirming that lazy evaluation efficiently performs the filtering and selection only when we call .collect. This demonstrates how lazy mode defers computation until needed, optimizing performance for big data tasks. Advanced example, joining data frames. Joining combines data from two tables. Let us join two data frames on a key. Running the cell now. This creates two data frames for joining. This is the left data frame with ID and city. This is the right data frame with ID and population. This prints df_left. This prints df_right. Running the cell now. Here we have two data frames each with 3 rows and 2 columns, one listing cities by their ID and the other giving populations by ID. Notice the ID column is the key they share, but the sets differ slightly. City 3 has no population data, and population 4 has no city. This setup prepares us to join these tables on ID and see how data aligns or is excluded. This performs an inner join on an ID column. This joins the two data frames on ID. This prints the join data frame. Running the cell now. The output shows the result of an inner join between two data frames on the ID column, producing a table with 2 rows and 3 columns, ID, city, and a population. Notice that only the rows with matching ID values in both data frames appear, demonstrating how joining merges related data based on a key. This highlights the core intent of the lesson, combining data from separate sources into a unified table using joins. This shows how to apply a custom function to a column. This defines a function that doubles the value. This is the function code. This adds a new column that is ID*2. This prints the data frame. Running the cell now. Here we see the original data frame augmented with a new column, ID_doubled, created by applying a custom function that doubles each ID value. Notice the shape remains the same with 3 rows and 3 columns, highlighting that the operation adds information without changing the data size. This step prepares our data for more complex joins by enhancing keys or features within the data frames. Error handling in polars. Let us see what happens if we try to access a missing column. We will catch the error with try except. Running the cell now. This demonstrates error handling for missing column access. Start of try block. This tries to print a column that does not exist. Catches the exception. This prints the error message. Running the cell now. Here, the code attempts to access a column named unknown_column that doesn't exist in the data frame, triggering a key error. Using a try except block, we catch this error gracefully and print a clear message instead of stopping the program. This demonstrates how to handle missing data references robustly in polars. Debugging tips. Always print shapes and column names when debugging. Use .dtypes to check column types. Filter small samples to debug large data frames. Running the cell now. This prints the data types of all columns. This prints the data types. Running the cell now. The output shows the data types of each column in a data frame, one string column followed by 2 integer columns. This confirms the expected structure and helps identify any type mismatches early, which is crucial for debugging and ensuring subsequent operations run smoothly. Best practices. Use lazy mode for big data. Use with_columns to efficiently change or add columns. Use select to create new small data frames. Avoid loops, polars is fastest with functions and expressions. Running the cell now. This shows how to use select and with underscore columns together. This creates a new data frame with name and age times 2. This prints the updated data frame. Running the cell now. This output shows a new, smaller data frame with just 2 columns, the original name and a newly created age underscore x2 column, which doubles the age values. Notice the shape, 3 rows, 2 columns, confirms we're efficiently selecting and transforming data without looping, demonstrating the power of combining select and with underscore columns for concise, performant data manipulation. Mini project, simple student analytics. Let us build a small pipeline, read exam data, filter, sort, and save results. Running the cell now. This writes example exam data to a CSV file. This is the sample data. This opens the file for writing. This writes exam scores to the file. Running the cell now. This code creates and saves a CSV file named exams.csv containing students' names and their exam scores in math and English. Notice how the data is structured with a header row followed by individual student records, setting up a clean input for later steps like filtering or sorting. This initialization is essential for practicing file reading and processing in our student analytics pipeline. This reads the exam scores using polars. This reads the CSV file. This prints the data frame. Running the cell now. This output shows the initial data loaded from the exam CSV file, consisting of 3 rows and 3 columns, student names, and their math and English scores. Notice the clean, structured table format that polars provides, which makes it easy to verify the data's shape and content before moving on to filtering or sorting steps. This confirms we have successfully read the data needed for our student analytics pipeline. This filters students who scored above 80 in math. This creates a data frame with students who got more than 80. This prints the filtered data frame. Running the cell now. Here, the code filters the exam data to include only students who scored above 80 in math, resulting in just 2 rows. Notice the output shape, 2, 3, showing 2 students, Amy and Kara, with their math and English scores. This step highlights how filtering narrows down the dataset based on a performance criterion, which is key for targeted analytics. This sorts the filtered students by English score, highest first. This sorts the data frame. This prints the sorted data frame. Running the cell now. Here, the output shows the top math scorers sorted by their English scores in descending order, resulting in a 2-row, 3-column table. Notice how the row order changes from the previous step to prioritize students with higher English scores while still focusing on strong math performers. This demonstrates how sorting helps refine and organize our data based on multiple criteria in the analytics pipeline. This saves the final result to a CSV file. This writes the sorted data frame to CSV. This prints a success message. Running the cell now. This message confirms that the filtered and sorted student data has been successfully saved to a CSV file named top_students.csv. It shows the final step in our pipeline, where after reading, filtering, and sorting the exam data, we export the clean results for future use or analysis. This reinforces the importance of saving process data for sharing or further workflows. Thank you. Thank you for trying this polars lesson. Do you want to learn more? Like and subscribe for more Python tutorials. Running the cell now.